Nibandiredo. Yedo Mewe Sigrange Nebar Tagba Yinji, Moni Neje, Mimbe Tor, Miripasido. Oh, the neck you send Dija, Suzula, Tor Mirikese. Sigdozo Yedo Mewe, Sigdozone, Range, Lepa, Nalunudo, some Tagi Armado, Sikurang Oni Generike Maresigora. Sikurang Oni Generation, Mekangal Neurete, New Marva. What did you say? Shake one day. And it took to women at Torre Marese, so some gerese. Well, a new do some gear mother Sikurang in it, Rangshin Generike Maresig. Would they shake the honey?
So the topic of we're on the section of explaining extensively how to apply antidotes to anger or hostility, then inappropriateness of hostility because unpleasant words are designated as harmful by oneself and are not inherently harmful. If they were somehow inherently or essentially harmful, then they would be harmful to everyone. But as they're not inherently harmful. Instead, they're merely made harmful by our own feelings about them, our own thoughts about them. That's what we project onto them, and then we feel, oh, that's harmful. The words are harmful.
Tadi nyamba yedo mewa wasigwa. Nyamba sude nyanjal sigora tasigora. Sikzubi tadese. Yedo mewa reya desigora. Ngoni jeno mechise sikora rangshin jeno chike mare sigora. Ane karresde dese namdo le chunga shenle ne soso namdo ge ko de labge ngala nege samje ne soso neba cheche trochigi yordo. Mado ko neje ngone de soso semge chigi yore sigora. Di soso semge ngala nege samtene neba sunga de mishanda ji chigi lamge de su ne yonge samje samge yore se shenle yeno nyamdo lomge yore sigora soso semge su yore sigora. Yende dan deba loguda. Sikzume nyamba yedo mewa asigwa. Sikzume nyamba yedo mewa desigwa nyamba yedo mewa asir shegora. Ane rangla ngonye je nebar meje jese sosolo noyade sikora ngonye je rangshin su ne yo mare sigora. Bena tendrik bashida. Tene de chena mawa bolande sikora rangshin je neje yena Silamgen did a mission that Kangal and Urvasora. Pena Sixi, Dujarisi Lapsuna, Minga Duchi Yona, Kashel and Nugre, Kashel Nugma, Kasha Game Shogre. She do so some local. Mikashi, Kerans, Chichigda, Chichesana, Kasha Condus out of Nazul Tilas, Nugra. Kasha has some good game Shodana, Nugmarwa. Sikurangoni, no she get Maresora. In the Kanga, no, so the same Sueza. Nugiority in a question dog never chick to some Giordesere. So never so Giordesere, what I know. Don't be. The Chena Mabon never Jureso. Teacher Dalan de Medo Nyamdo, Rangi Namdole, Shedangi never Choana, so Namdole Tene, Kungal Tujala Gudo, some never Sungiordesegora. One is genetic, so Shedangi never Chungamado. He never did mission that they should never send like do some tangy or resora. Never Chuana, never did. Shella yin yam do Lombard said, oh, say. Rangi talk by never Shabala, Shella Tro Miriso, also Namdoge, Nergy to Swan and Mado Delia, mission that were contra the rig Mareser. No.
So, for the following reason, too, it is inappropriate to be angry about harsh words. Though unpleasant to hear, they are not intrinsically harmful. Thus, it is fantasy to think that what comes from preconception comes from elsewhere. So here we'll read the commentary, but the idea is that though it might be unpleasant to hear, it's still these they're not intrinsically harmful. There's not something harmful, essentially harmful about them. Otherwise, everyone would feel harmed by it. So, thus, it's a fantasy, or just our imagination to think that what comes from preconception comes from elsewhere. Preconception is, we can just think it as what comes from our own thoughts, how we think about it, and we think, oh, it's that person is doing us harm, and thinking it's coming from that person, but it's just coming from our internally, our own thought. So the commentary reads, though hearing harsh words is unpleasant, they are not intrinsically harmful. Otherwise, the speaker would also be harmed. The speaker and anybody else would be harmed. Thus, when the damage done by anger comes from one's own preconception that one has been insulted, you just think that you've been insulted, then it is just fantasy to suppose it comes from elsewhere. It has no basis in reality. It's just coming from internally, not from the exterior. That we can, so we can see this when, if just the words were somehow harmful, then we wouldn't have a variety of reactions to such words. And sometimes when somebody says something, some people get really, says a certain phrase or whatever, some people get really angry, and then some people laugh. They think it's really funny. And then others, could care less. So there's all these different reactions, right? So it just goes to show that the words themselves don't have some kind of intrinsic harmfulness to them. So when one's own ideas have done the harm, okay, it's really your own thoughts that are doing the harm. It's unreasonable to be angry with others that are saying these words.
Oh, that don't go. When a cigarette to judge. Some of the Labia do a shiggy Zemras in Michi Labdi. Kasha Namsan Yogua. Kasha Zemzen Party and the Kemusho, Yatsu James to the Labudua. Got 6 Chiba in Aku, Mipajodi. Susu Namdo Salu, Cavandua. Zemras, Yao Cheshi do Asana. I just came get sushi with the Kasha. Kasha Cheshi does the Namsa countryside in the 6 Chiba. So, Namdo never saw New York. And New do something, Pajodiga, Koyabu, New do something, Manga Labura. I call New Man on the Kemusho, then Pajodiaco, Talamdi Mosagra, Koyusha, New do something. Okay.
So then, you can see how this works even when people are joking around, they can say a certain thing with an intention to joke around, and a certain phrase or a sentence. Then that same sentence said to some people will cause them to laugh. Other people just from the same words, even though the intention was to sort of joke around, will get really angry. And then other people, then on the other side, there's when you're leave it there again.
No, pa chicken lamne ne karchere, karchelasa. Oh, de pena
Game of shorgi or what?
No, the Pazi Lamna, Kokemushu, and the Kajaya, Dujajil, Lavianako, Kemushu, then do some Pazu de Mama Labgura, Takoya. Manage the Kemushu, then the Pazu de Mora of Sajiparuzi, you shall write Lagumara.
Then from the other side is somebody who's intentionally saying something. He's like, oh, this will really hurt this person, and you say it. And he or she says it and then the other person laughs. And so then the person who says it, their reaction is, oh, I made some, they feel sort of embarrassed, and so then they, you know, you get a variety of reactions anyway.
This one, that better, better pena chuzi moshi menkuna se sawe tratwe bese chunme bomo yinyamne penla mo de sao sa she mebe rangi bomo yimbar shebana chiwa moshi sao she meba shindo sigda chuk songe palan songe tende bomo chi sigwara ane ko kunyi kyoga chile keme ni yo imbara kemba chida chunga chi ni yora ane kemba dele bomo yo imbare chung dile pomo yoara re yoara ko di kemba de nyeji de kemba de pomo de konda ko khala sa trogo to injira ne kaga pale da tinde kamputin de sagi de be so so sagi yoara tene kemba de amjo ko re amjo tade o ta kum chen kaga sagi do samne ta bajo ki keme korale shemba de kyoga chi werwa o mogi pomo de re sam mo de tado yorwa ene dilane Baju mo de karsa wire toja slabya sik tuja lagera de chuzi mo se sala chimo sana panga mo se da baju mo de karsa sagera se lango de se tuja se lango se da lango mo de karsa sagera se la mo tuja sik de tuja labra ene mora pomo de re de sange de baju pomo marwa en pomo de mare amanga yin chi ka la yin bra o de se mo ka bu chore ya 가보 정도서 아니 지지 뭐되게 발리 사기도 왔을라 어디나 싫어서 책직 바로 lapsara 뭐 남도 그 바조 bomode 사기도 선도 콘로 용거라 그래서 뭐라 bomod에서도 단디 마스 사면 뒤치거라
네. So when a herdsman herds women, there's two women together that one is senior and one is junior, same husband, and so and then the senior one also has a daughter. So when a herdswoman, this is the senior one, heard someone eating in the dark, thinking it was the junior wife's daughter. Oh, the junior wife's daughter. She said, "What are you eating, you cow?" She heard that, so she insulted her. She heard this one sound, right, of food being eaten. I guess the junior wife's daughter was very hungry, and so, "What are you eating, you cow?" And then realizing it was her own daughter, the daughter must have said, "Oh, this is me, Mom," you know. So then she said, "Oh, my pet is eating something. How wonderful!" Yeah. So it's the same sound, right, with two different reactions. Right?
Tasumba logi tenjule shewa mo cheba chaware sheba chinjilo yimbanes. Ta logi sumba dire do angani. Logi tenjuna kebe logi sikandes kyangura tim kandes chegura sedu logi tenju sigara. Oh, then logi tenjule shewa mo la cheba chawa shewa pola seda. Sheshe milia tsik duja lamge tezuliane cheba gyabgure sigore sigora. Cheba chawa sheba chinjilo yimbanes. Oh, de chinjilo res mandibure sigora. Oh, then karisam wasna logi tenjule shewa pola cheba chaware shebe so shina so o chuchi lapsuna pa lagure cheba gyagure ne gebe logi tenju tozunala sikyandalo suduja lamna ne pa cheba gyagure so sheto wasigora o tene menyon bamba shi indi kunde langba ne o te me yabu mare chanyamba mare nyiri meba mare te nyiri chenre nyamba mare sigora tene menyon bamba shi ki kunde langba indi se ani chidare shewa di labsha nyamdo chidare shewa pola ne sedwa sheshe tanga dil sigore sigdu jalamge chebra chawa ngoy shoba su logi tensional til cheba chago rese shedo wasigora ti nane ti she nyambar mabola chebra chawa chimelis ti tenjo de tangbo mare sigora si duja lamge delia ne cheba jabgo yona ene si yabu lamge delia ne ko karso gore 초바체고로 와서 니바쪽으로 와서 딜라고로 딜라고면도 와서 거라 제자 디디 참아송고 말에 냠바 말에서도 딘데바들 로샤나 지다르 쉐와 볼라네 체베 체바르 차와 넘바르 쳬바 대신 도세 냠바르 마와 볼라 쳬바르 차와 지민규 쳬릭발라 대다르 메쳬베 댄주 친지 로시고 어디 친지 로게 댄주를 해셔라
So then, here it says that treatises on the assertion here is that advice to punish the abuser in treatises on social conventions is wrong. So here the assertion is treatises on social conventions state that those who are abusive should be punished. So the answer here is in the verse itself. It says, just as it plainly says the abuser should be punished, likewise, why should one who speaks pleasantly not be rewarded? So the commentary states, just as it plainly says that those who are abusive should be punished, likewise, why should those who speak pleasantly not be rewarded? This is, it would be reasonable to reward them, but since these treatises do not mention that, they are mistaken, or you could say misleading.
That's right. Better rather better. Penan Drundingba, Taba Zamje, Sube, Sem Keji. Signember Mawa Cheber Mejeba Shinosigdwa. O de Carsigorson, Dunding Bas, da Lumbachi, Ming de Shinserdo. O Lumba de Ne Diabudi teaching Yamberta. Langbuchi Koran Bay, Mikanga, Pa teaching a Shukshambuyunga, Mitu La making a Sangish Yoimbra. Then he could Langbuchi the Shebu Bay, Kambuyos and Mitu to take up the Chaka Yungura. They on the language of me, Mambu Segor, said to the Kokachigomar and Dixu some gear cosa. That would make a shag language de Semaduze, Kombuche, Koyati, and language de Pasemadude. I gave the contrasting a language liquor in the Carsora, Mapam the Carchigin Basse. Generally, she's a young Chabajagi. She's why.
Oh, the code. Because that language.
Oh, language you are. That daily me language de ma that in the Gedung language to the Tigiora. Oh, nature do Jabji Pazun Zingi Tongashu Tigiora. Oh, in the language which you hear what you have delia. Taco Keda Chimbuche. The language didn't meet the Tabashos logo in the say, meeting during the or the language. Jarjabchugiora. Oh, no. Taco Bangchadi, language de Sager, call Lanjit of Shambura, Migla Kegio Marwa. I said, you know, taps on the Sagres, I said, oh, Tayabuchos Lanji, Yabuchum Bekiora. That make us say Maduche, call Lanjing, Ketchem Maduche, Yabuja, there to Giora. Till that Yabu, King Langbulia, Mapapson say. Yabu Lambu Tinde Yabu Medus, Migla Kegdus, Mapapson say, Young College Chabajagio.
So this example is it comes from, well, there's a example of a king, a certain king in a region. I guess it talks about Dravira here, who had, when they go into a battle, then they take elephants, and elephants are able to, they're able to kill the soldiers, but then there's somebody who, when there's some amongst those who are able to stand against an elephant, and so then the king had this very powerful elephant, and somebody was able to stand against him, but instead of some of the people were able to stand against this elephant, but instead of admiring this, the king ordered such people to be killed.
Signyamba sigdwa. Signyamba mawa chebar mechiba sigdwa. Signyamba sigdwa ko tapsun so o midi pe kyongbu chungsu ko langbu chegi lakhe ma son sigyora. O dili ko yakbu resi lagu di lagu yo marwa. O kyo nge langchi liya mapapsu sigyora nge langchi yakbu di mizun di no da langchi di yakbu mitindi mi lakhe ki tu ser.
So really that such a person should be rewarded for being able to, be sort of praised for being able to withstand the assault of an elephant. But instead of that, the king just, despised him for, and he was, what do you say, punished for doing like that.
Shewe rangi kyo shenla sawar chebe chua riksu janas sabje shiba de redwa ane shenliya o ko chiji ya umar chiji je mama je tinde tsik dukja lapsuna ane kunga soso kyo di mi shendaliya sabu suguyo re sigora di sonza ko kontu sawa di riki duwa sigora diliya riksu shenas o di riki ma re se shegiyora.
So then inappropriateness of anger or hostility for those who make others aware of one's faults.
Kyoje meja mameja kede shenje shenane mabo lato mirigna yangda me ma lachi me sigdwa. So kaswarsne kyoje meja mameja kyoje se bena midi shara ndishina shara abura
shara
mi longa. Any tango sudang azu neshi kangbo kyo dongge kyo shin dongge shina sigora. O tinde shina any kyoje meja la mameja gede shenje shena se de kyoje meja mameja se ko kangbo kyo shin dongge re kangyo ga silamna ko malamna ko meja meba malamja shenda ngusum do shede yore sigora. Ko kyo yimba mi longa yimba ya yene lakwa meba yimba kari yene kolya ko kyonje yene kyonje yimba de ko lamna malamna ko malamna lamna ko kanga ngusum do thode gi ore se yora desa kyoje meja mame janse ko mera madana ya kede yene ko shara yimba de shenji ngusum do shede gi ore se yora kede shenji shenanes mabo la tro se ne mabo la kari troya yo ma re se yora mabo lato mirinas yangda mi ma la chi di trose ya tene yangda ba ke meba shindo yangda ba memba la ma wala troa mirik ba tashi mese tene karsore ke de yo na ko lamne ngone reba sura ko chik di mal lamna ka yore ko ngusum thung yore sura ke de ran meba yana ko lamna ko ne ko ya ke yo ma re sura. Oh, this one. Oh, yeah. The Kyoje Sharwata, Tingbo Lasoba, Kyoje Majala, Mameja, Kede Shenji Shenane, Mawabola Tor Miride, Mameja, Shenji Musumdo, Jurveshir Sierra, Tangudra. Oh, Kede, the Marina Rala Kyo Mesh and Yandaba Mimber Mawala Tor, Mirik Bataji, so Kyo Man and Midi Kyo Lavina. Togwe came into Asera. Kyo Yena Tor Mirina, Kyo Meva Delicate Dusilamne, Togweka or Togwe Marwasgora. Oh, then a number going to try Miriso. Then I Sharola Sharoshi Mevada. What don't do it?
Sharas and the mid long man out of it.
Oh, there, Sharola Sharoshi Mevada, Mashawala Mashawashi Meva Niga. Kebu cheba chuba mirik bashi no sigara.
Shawas and the mid long
longa de la sigara. Mano da longa sigara. Mi longa res ne ko longa re de yene longa rebate. Longa member sine longa res ne ko longa member la lamna ko chogya yo ma de sigara.
So
beta niga nyam do la shado.
So we'll read the verse together with the commentary that I don't know if did I mention what topic we're on now? Yeah. I did? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Anger is reasonable because abuse reveals one's faults to others. So this is just saying something about somebody else's, what do you say, faults here, or just sort of like their handicaps, I guess we would say. If that for which you are reviled is known to others, though they are not told, and anger at the speaker is unreasonable, how much more so towards those who lie? So, if those, the commentary then says, if those things for which you are reviled, such as your blindness or lameness, then lameness just Geshe says like the way I walk or whatever, and then so are known to others even when they have not been told. It is unreasonable to be angry with the one who mentions them, for even unmentioned they are self-evident to others. So why would you get angry at somebody who, when everybody can clearly see that you're blind? You know, why would anger be appropriate when someone says, you know, calls you blind? So if that is unreasonable, then how much more so anger towards those who speak untruly when one does not possess a fault? So it would be even more inappropriate to get angry when somebody calls you, you know, lame, even though you have no lameness. So then, thus anger is always inappropriate.
This one. Danga ni derida ngaba membe signyamba mebala twar miriba sigdwa.
Oh, bede lama so hade.
Benyam do labs de labsar bange.
So it is wrong for a king to punish both someone who calls the blind blind, as well as someone who calls those who are not blind blind. That's the example. Well,
Tangaba membe signya mebala twar miriba sigdwa. And membala menyamba tobala twar memba tuja tuzo sosolia sig tuja den de labsona and the togurvasne de twar rigma resigora. Twari Sushana, de rigma resora. Caresne mele menye shechawa never joa my Indies. Me member and a church metumba tigbal cow or Tizu and soso dujaji lapsona. Then soso never to sem kyoko amaresura. Semlenoku mare kyoko maresura. Never joa my Indies. Teacher menjo menyamba yangar chunse taburnas. Oko sick dujazam lava madoji. Tile doga ko me tonye da saya da tinde chigore ko tinde ma che yabore ko sik duja sam labre samje ene ti sam gur ma do tile akar sura ton le lo ba de rig ma re sik do de ba de kyo member se de yisura che member de je kya da tinde tu machine te ba che tu machine ge te ba kundu che ba te ba ka bu yonge shanda duja la be da ja re ja tinde Shen Dunga wala kawa, Shandal took Butang to Kokawi and get to Lasbora. Dale, 6 Minyamba Shejawa, Tesamla, could do Jaji loves on the good 6 Minyambas Labare Mado, Labare Segora. 6 Duja Lava Samlea, and then so never June, same Koakene, Chokoya Yoma Resegora. Oh, Digaresne, 6 Duja Lava Lava Conyeda, Yada, 7 days Chigores Kashe. O Tindeco, Yeda Mada. Maseba yata chure ko sik duja la mado dilo noya ke mindu sam gure mado tuju mares gora tiye remember le chuve sik menyamba te samne ke yangarwa chungse da burna sik duja la de chunjore nyeda da mase tamare sam yakbo de sam kawa regre kabuche gure sera kondu sa phashan oh yeah
so inappropriateness of anger when inferiors use abusive language. So it is unreasonable to be angry at hearing abuse from one's inferiors. Here, the verse states, abuse from inferiors does not ensure escape. Abuse from inferiors thus should be seen as isolated and trivial. Merely some abusive words from inferiors. Here inferiors means those who like what is profane and constantly do ill deeds and take delight in others' suffering. Do not ensure one's escape. These words don't ensure one's escape, since these are, very nasty people, we'd call it, maybe inferiors, and that they still might beat or kill one. Therefore, regarding mere abuse from one's inferiors as an isolated and trivial error, it is appropriate to feel glad. It's more appropriate just to feel happy you got off with that, just some bad words, instead of being beaten or killed. So it's inappropriate to be angry in such a situation.
Lu shone pade mi jidar jejang soba gombar ke langbala temben dida dura na shino sigdwa o bena de pagba kambo se gelon jirwa sanje chinju gelon jirwa pagba kambo se ra ane lu shone pande se lu shone pojo tage lumbatil drone mido tule chöshe gi se chöshe ga du yin se yora pane mi Chidar Jajan, Sobacum, or the Netasul Church and Duinse, Sanjel Shubin Bere. Or this one, oh, Sanje, oh, Tipajo, Middle to Pek on Borda Kara, and Yangashidade, Mandrona Kagredase, Sonare Shere. Oh, Tene Pagba Gambe, oh, that Consangalia, Sik Duja Lamna, and the Tama Sense, on Amase Yabure. Madun Yabure something is yara. Don't so nada sema so de Yabuin Kozu Yabuin something is yara. Says on a or dang a Pumbu Ringo, Pumbu, Sajanile Pumbu Rulba, Shadow DJ Ringo de Mabasone, a taco Yabuchon song some drinking his share. Or that day in a can so to win, do race and change Shosha and Roshos or this.
So this is a story of, the example is a story of one of the Buddha's followers known as the noble Purna. And so he was a bhikshu under the Buddha, and he wanted to train the people of the country on the other side of the river Sona. So he went to the Buddha to ask if it's okay to if he goes over there. And then the supramundane Victor, the Bhagavan, told him, those people are wild and fierce. If you live there, you'll experience suffering. And then the noble Purna said, if they abuse me, I will think, how wonderful they didn't beat me. They are kind. If they take my life, I will think, how wonderful that they have put an end to this rotten body, these five aggregates. They have helped me. Then the Buddha said, well, if you're going to think like, if you have that attitude, then fine, you can go.
Chitangazu de Yungdua, Nimelo Sojana Kelondo, Rere Sonyum Drogodua. Nazu Java Chambalia, Chambet to the Sheviva, or de Cares Kelondico, Sonyum Luyora, Sonyum to the Trombachis Alchene, Chushegiora, Chambatsewa, Penzu Pada Mada, Nini to Carita, Namadachi. Pimli Karina, Chikichili Chambesem, Negure, Sawatanyam, the Negures, Chushetangdua. And the coach, she shares her condo, oh, Yaburesha, condo Savoyawurem, the Chambatso, Yaburesha, some Chambal and Gurtopsona, and the Sonyam She Kalase Chigdua. Some Sally Chambal Gurma, the church and the Conzo Matuna Kalasagumedua, Sonio Malembeche, Matudin Kalamasa de Egdua. When the Indico, Munation, Drone, Trombatus and Drosonium Lene, Lapsa Jagua, Sambatol and Egores, Congress of Sidio Mare, Nangmination, and there's a Lapsa Jagua. When the Indico Kilo and Droshose, Sungudo,
so when you
launch Chambas Ming Toso, and the San Jusen by Chambas, Sanje Chambas Ming Togdoa.
So there's this custom of going to different homes, right, and asking for alms, and so for instance, there's a well-known story of the bhikshu called Jamba or Maitreya. And so then he got this name because he went around to each home and he would enter the home to receive alms. But before that, it was the custom then to give some kind of a teaching. It's not really a teaching, it gives some helpful advice to the people in the home. And so it was his personal custom to tell the people in that home not to ever get angry with each other and quarrel, but to always be loving to each other and treat each other with kindness. So if he felt that the people were receptive to his advice, and then he would accept the food from them, and he would be able to eat. But if he went around to different homes and never met with receptive people, he would be going hungry for like sometimes a week or 10 days. It was a long time. But through this practice, this particular practice that he had adopted, then he became known as the bhikshu Maitreya, which means love. And so then later on he became known as the Bodhisattva Maitreya, and eventually also the protector or Buddha Maitreya.
To rigorous and rigmaris udo. Kedekyo mebala, Shevade, Sarjebala, Neva Medo, Chenase, Social Mebala, Yorislam, Pane, Sarje or Colopa, Lankam, Chicheurasana, Shenazura, or Timarese. Shenu Jebe Dalani, Yonde Junse, young Menasigdoa, or Kosuran Duzazi Lapsuna, Telepa Ranga Nolanchena, Yanga de la Javatelia. Shenu Jebe, Dalani, Yunde Chuseme, Ranko, Novangema Chesarate, Yanga to Mabaswene, Yomar, Nova Chesare, Yanga Party Chene, Yunde Yomar Resigua, Yunde Chuse Yang Menase. Kondo Yunde Mebala, Kube Shimba Yangbar says, Kondo Chevadelia, Nova Ranshin, Neva Chimadone, Yunde Yomar Wasigora, Tiliane, Kena Kube. Shamba Sheba Jangba some Severes, Yora. When I do what in Rebanal, Sheva so Shella, a land of Nova Chebes, Shella no Chebes, Shenu Chebes, Yora. Dala ne Yonde, Junse young men asked Dala Nengar Chessing, Sheshetana, Nova Kena, Shuna Karjana Chessing, but the Pazilangelo and the dog to Mabasha, Yomaris, Yora. Chessing. And Jason Dogbala Sobe, Yonde Junse Yamena Sigura, Yonde Junse Yamena Sigua. And the Kyoto Yonde Mebala said, Kyotoa, Gyomado Yonde, Mebala, Kube, Chinjilodo, Shemba, oh, the land Yagudes are Kondo Chevadele, Gyomado Yonde Yomar, Delicera, Chinjilodo, Shemba Cheva, some to Severes, Sigura. Oh, done it. When I saw no mano. Dogba Shindos, Yamdo Lashan. When I measure marriage, Swiss Hasana, and Sonja de Nomboredo, Candido Sanashi, they turned out your Marsama, Swiss Sarvaco. Oh, Sonja Tiras, Yavana Masu, oh, much ambassador, Taco, Titi Candido, Nombodo, Candido Sena, tele taxi chen pendo ke yo mare sigora ko di no na no bo me na ko ma su karjene kyo che sarwa ti me so ke yo marwa o di na shile sa.
So then this next section is sort of stands on its own here, and it's refuting that it is not wrong to punish the slanderer of an innocent person. So the assertion is it's not wrong to punish those who slander the innocent. And the verse reads, "If harming others is not even of the slightest use to you, your approval of useless aggression is just an addiction." So this is talking about retaliation. Retaliation by hurting others like the slanderer is not of the slightest use to you in reversing what has already been done and so forth. It's not, what is done, so you're not affecting anything by hurting the slanderer. In that case, your approval of aggression for returning harm is your approval of returning harm, that retaliation then, which has nothing but drawbacks and no advantages. There's absolutely no help to hurting others. I mean, there's no advantage to hurting others, and only drawbacks. So it's just an addiction to something that is wrong. You've done. It's only this is only out of your habituation to something, to a way of doing things that is totally wrong. So it's like testing a weapon to see whether it is sharp or not. Here the explanation is somebody you get wounded by some kind of weapon. And then you're asking the question, well, is it how sharp is it? And what's the sense? You've already been wounded, so it's senseless to see whether it's sharp or not.
Tela kumbe chesin dogam chese. Te lenji pa chene tagi ko tsuji shu sona. Ani pa neba chenda chebe ne tagi shu ne nasa tanga de meba chagre vesgara. Meba chaya yo maro shu sara ko. Tela kumbe chesin dogam chese. Tijir terko ngeban de de mese. Pa yangya lenji chebe tele sendele to de tonda ke yo maro chera. Ko shu sara de meba chaya yo maro kyon de chen kyon che sarwa. Ta pa de chene ani Chendele de so Yangya Kui Sushi Dokoye, Yangya Kui Sushi Yang Party, Yoda Sarchin Susu Miki was Turnremada Yomaro. Chendele de Tenda Yomare, Teleseba Comshane, Kolia Bushagin, and the Pajo de Kaji Chambure and Yanga Yoruba. Jiden Paru and Gavarjun, Jiden Parulia, Susu Tawan de Varavasera, Tunge Judy Duguma Vasera. And the park on the say Yatsu and Conto Mambusa, Digba Mambusane, Kiwachima Dunga, Judisa de Yorase. Then Jiden Paru cannot Devan de Dunga Jupangi, so at the Gawaris, or Jiden Paru and Gawarjur. Jiden Kiwachima Soso Devan Deba. And it's you Sabacom the Sui do the chick minium to Tumbuyo at the Tindichido, Sabacom Giora. Or did that didn't Gawaris.
So there's a statement in Chandrakirti's supplement to Nagarjuna's treatise on the middle way. So he says in that Tawa Drapa, like Chandrakirti. So he was saying, what's the sense in retaliation for harm? Okay, there's no how does that make any sense for getting what you want? when you retaliate for some kind of harm done, then that person will harm you back, and so, and then, and you'll, you know, if he or she strikes you on the head, then you'll have like a, you know, some kind of painful wound there, and so this kind of quarreling or fighting is not going to be of any benefit to you in this lifetime. It's useless in this lifetime, and then he points out it's also useless in the future lifetime, because you're thinking that you want to have happiness and avoid suffering in your future life, and if you harm others, the only effect of that is going to be suffering for you in the future lifetime, no happiness, and you're destroying your patience, your practice of patience and tolerance, which it would bring you some kind of happiness in your next lifetime, because by being patient you would have a pleasing form, and those around you would get along with you. So you're destroying both your happiness in this and in future lives.
This one. This one.
Bedi lapsason.
Oh, yeah, that shiba. Sobe yunde samne troa kakbas dili tunzen risum duaya. Shiba delia de sobe yunde samne kondu kagures yara. Tole sum dua tunze. Shewala soba komreba su sheshe dangel soba komne yagres. Shemba kona jombe troa la kubar miribas. Oh, tene ranle kyo atuzulpa kondu jeni jomne kol neba ketu batelia. Kuwacheva rigma resigra. And Troala, Seba Yonde Quinjine, Kaba Combos. Troa Delia, Tennis Pass Seba Comna, Seba Deni, Yonde Quinjine, Kawa Comric Basset, Sum Dua. O Dinane Tambuda Shevala, Seba Comric but the Shake Dua.
So here we have the fourth section in this particular part of explaining extensively how to eliminate hostility. And this fourth section is preventing hostility by considering the benefits of patience. And so then the first part of this has three different parts, and one is appropriateness of patience towards abuse, then the inappropriateness of approving of aggression which defeats only the weak, and the appropriateness of rejoicing, since patience towards a cause of anger or hostility is the source of all accomplishments. Oh, well, don't do so.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well.
Padirda Shevala Seba Kumra Keba Sushi Sudwa. Shangi Shewala Yonde Mebala Le Sobar Chechenase Kede Sobe Be Mebar Sunam Chimbo Top Gurna Soba Kongina and the Baba Shida Chimogoba Sozula Sunama Butogre Sungua Kanshi de la Kecheba Tison Lumbo Sushi and Soba Magumbache Condolia Lanchikdana and Soso Chended the Nigal Conra Deora. So Kanshi de la Kecheba Ase Sunam Chimbotoya de la Kecheba. And it did our Lumbukala city, soon teaching a parlance and Sonam Shambutovella Kexiguarity, Lumbu Tile Dugachi Lumbuchi, Yoma Resigua. Oh, Debakaris and Kedis, Sube, Troyaka, Mrs. Subachigina, and a condo the young pa condo Selancha, young su, this young party, got the maps which are attached. And shall never measure Beba Mebarse, shall I never measure. Tend to Beba Meba Tidan. Ganda, Nursimgi, Me, Jumbe, Chui Gunda, Nursimgi, Menashing, never contributed Jomegi, Chui Gunashi, Rachel, Sabacomna. And then Su Sambu to be a Kansada, Timasambu Yonata, Su Zebu to be a Tindri Kansanashi, Resigara. Su Sambu Drubala Soba, Sonam Chimbo, Tobra Gunas, Kawachima, or Tene Kawasambu, Tindri Tobiage, Sonam Chimbo Sag Resigara. Gurnase. Kibu Kanshi, Lamje Cho de la Kekcheba, Suba, Sonam Chambosage, Lam de la Kekcheba, Tetan Sumbe Lumbu Sushi, Rana Kepsan descended Chimanigalatane, 아니 파유시다 요르도 개와 망부터 요라 대반 좀 받친게 lumbu 수시 요데 랑게 요데 내게 좀 받치베 소소를 요데 고야 케벤데 강가 수수 매버서 요래 세테 밀lumbu기 삼로레 케바이나 어딘데 삼로마당아지 수박 공고래 송고도 대나시와라 수박 코나 케바자오 수시시다 파 수박 공나 케바레 바오레 시기어레 시기어라 닝도 첨부레세 sem방원에 sem바심부라 그래서 수질라 파질라 세트네 바오 시기어라 지데나 그 바오 마레세라 메스네 신게자레 고 세케나게 세우마르 코나 시두르세라 롤란는 바다 치바르세라 메시 산조 로데 양세게세 천년에 조게요 마라 디나시 메스네 코게게나 코시에레 케나게 세우마르 코나 시두르세라 어디에서 코 바오 마레시아라 딜lum부레서 거라 바오원에도 어디로 서었네 소박금게도 문에 바오로 반영도 셴버라 로고 셴버레서라
So the question here in the first part then is what wise
Luba Sober Chebashinus. Pemekashi Korangin Daudi and Navera Cheche Dashin the Agri Sunday. Those dead to be a Yunakotan Josh in the Corus 7 and she is.
What wise person the question is, what wise person tolerates others' worthless abuse? So, if through patience enormous merit is acquired effortlessly, who is as foolish as one who obstructs this? So, the commentary reads, if through patience one gives anger no opportunity and does not harm others, if you completely control your harm towards others, one will acquire the fragrance and adornment that you will acquire fragrance and adornment. That means virtue. There's a kind of good fragrance of being virtuous. You will also have a flowing river undisturbed by ill will. You'll always be in a kind of calm, peaceful state of patience, or non-reactivity. Maybe we'd think of it, and then a pleasing appearance. So this is a result of such a practice. Then, who is as foolish as one who obstructs this supreme path? For he assiduously destroys his own good qualities. So the person who would get angry and would obstruct this practice of patience that has such wonderful results of such good qualities, then would be a foolish person. So therefore, only those who bear abuse should be called wise. So it's the opposite of what this person is asserting, and not only wise, but also you can think of them as being courageous, or the real heroes, the real heroic persons. That usually in the worldly way, we think of the heroic person as somebody who sort of can answer a harmful somebody's harmful speech with more harmful speech. Something more harmful can return it, or like somebody in a battle that's able to overcome his enemies, for instance. But in battle, how can that really be considered heroism when you're killing those who are already fated to die? It's just like destroying. What do you say? It's like killing already like overcoming corpses. So it's not the heroic person is somebody who can and who's courageous is really somebody who can overcome their anger and their hatred and hostility. So the example here is like a woman who here we have a woman's husband wanted to die and had only a little life force left. He thought, he's going to die in pain. She thought like that. I should kill him, and exerted herself to perform an ill deed and killed her husband.
Shambas the top chong de sigdo and the shamba top chong so and it conduce pa jom the set of carching ne dong chigina carina telia and a gubacha de rigmare sigdo. Shamba conan jombe toala gubar mirik pane sigdo. To send the ja toa pang barcha de se. Toa pangure se cares and the top chimburan the top chimbuchina conduce and a paneva ketu mare. Top chung is Yam Junji and Co. Dinjomba Chanaka and Ale Yomaris Gordo. Shimbakona Jombe, Toala Kubar, Miripane, Tuan Jomela Capuche, Ribamaris. Kuzen de Jan Toa Pangbachade, Toa Sheja, Kebardo, Tom Dentale, Kemingus, Condo Chimbo sending a cottage summit, Top Dandemba, Sosula, Makagin, Condo Kesane. Satuk Maresera, Condu General Ken Yomarita J. Yomardo. Oh, Tena Shemba Jom, Tena Shenjum Toala, Chine Kuguja. So top me Yam Chungachi, Condus and the colon never care to the Lea, Keran Kuba Karjan Chigores, Kawa Karjan Chigores, Toa Sheja, Kebar, Tom Dentala, never che menube. Kevar Minjurwa Tenas Yora, Troashe Kebar, Tom Dentala, Minjur Tenas Gua, Shemba Shenjum Troala Sedrida, Shemba's top Shemba Sigora, Shemba Jombe Yamba, Bashilas, Yamba Kyobo Tezulia, La Kesa Tezulia, Tawetene, Troala, Tawach and the Troach and the colon never Kevatege, Kuchi Naku Kubar Jude, Kubar Mirik sauce, Kubachari Maresgora. Oh.
So then, so this next session is talking about inappropriateness of approving aggression which defeats only the weak. The weak means somebody who you perceive as being weaker than yourself. So, so this is for the following reason too, one should get rid of anger. Aggression, especially, does not arise towards the powerful. And you can't really get angry at somebody who's so much more powerful than yourself. So then, why then do you approve of aggression which defeats the weak? That's only what do you say? That would be totally inappropriate. So here. The commentary states, aggression especially does not arise towards the strong because one is powerless to harm them. For what reason then do you approve of aggressive anger toward the wretched, which defeats only the weak? So then, such approval is improper. To think that that's a good thing, to respect such a thing is would be totally improper.
This one. That better pena permit Jombala power shinus. Nim Jun permit Jombala power shinus. Did the Karsiwasana Lumbani Kiavici Pajo Lumbadilla Mark Abgidwa? A Mark Yadini Kiavade Tigo Tanga Lumba Pajo de Marlon Drogores. And Mamma to the Karam Pajo Kandichi in Basse. Really Tigua. And it's Kasha says, oh, Napandone near Lumba de Takora Corjepa. Me and that children drama Chicken Sanda. Kasha Lumba Kilman Done, sawal running a consulting in Sando. Oh, tin damage labdua. Oh, tin Kashes and oh, I gave a Kerangi, Kawan and Shisha, Naraya Choptunge. Nara Mashi Java Kerang left on that dear troop to get singing. Kashes and oh, Nampandone, and then Nazu Kiabajo Kiabudi, Kora Yosala, Korang Tsumuda Tuzunge, Chida, Chak Tubutizuba, Sage, Tuchet, the chickens, Labdua. And they gave us, oh, that you, Teyawu Marese, the main jumpers, two chunjutos with 10 duly at the chair, Teyawu Marese, Nadil Kawa Messe. Nova Mess, Shimbalo by Sidua. Oh, this you are the permissible power, she knows said.
So, the example is of a certain king who wanted to take a city, and he called his soldiers together to ask what they would do when they besieged it. So the example is bravery in defeating women. So in this one, he said, one said, "My lord, I will stop anyone from entering or leaving the city." So that's he says, "Oh, that's good." And he's questioning his soldiers. Then some said they would advance as far as the moat, while others said they would climb the walls. So another said he would do what would give the king great pleasure and at the same time protect himself. The others said like that. And the king expressed his approval, all of them. And then one of them said, well, all of those guys are thoroughly defeating the king of that city. I will make him watch me beat his women of the queen's retinue with a cudgel. And then the king goes, "Oh." And then when he heard this, he said, "This perverted fellow wants to vanquish the weak." And then he took an immediate dislike to him and treated him with contempt. Well,
no, yeah, that cavaliers. This one. Oh, yeah, that's somebody matter, yeah. Reve, Tanda, Horida. Sumba Toala Seba, you and then going in be Kawa Combe Basigua. Oh, Seba Combine, Troa to Troa de la Paz, Seba Combine, you and then Mount Benjune, this on the Seba come to some Kawa Combe Regudese, Ribasigua. Get this Seba Jena, Nurture, get this Seba Jena, never chimney so Yamne Shangi, never Gurve. Troajeba Riso Shenasidwa. Oh, Mizu Suti Dujajan, Pa Lema Jamna. Oh, Taco made Dujajan get the land up to Maswas and Migi, Nechu Risgora, or Coca Tugumenduasam, Nechu Hagura, Nieba.
Oh,
Tunju Chigra.
Oh,
Coca Jumbedo, consultant labs, Coca lap to Maswasira.
Oh, the Ninches and the Mera sort of.
Oh, Mera, Nieba, oh, Taco Keke. Jungumedo, Coke, Tugumedo Asigra, Tunjuigra. And Troajeba Riso Shenase, or Dindigma Resigora. Kanshi Tonella Seba, Della Comba Kevan Jose. Kanshi Troya Net Ezulia, two Troa de la Pa, and then Seba com the Chambacumgi in Nasera. Seba Comgina, Della and Chambes Sem Combat Kendu Resigora. Della Comba Kevan Jose. Kanshi Troya Nella. Trove Nella, Seba, Tella Chambeting in Zilla Sogbe, Combakevar in Gulase, Seba Combena, Pajo de la Ningisam, that to put on the Indigmare Samje, to make the Trendu in Ningida, and it caught Tewat Chuna, some Tewat Trendu Chambala Soba, Ketu Grace, Yara, Kevan Gula Chamba Tana, Pajum, Pajo, Samando, Panjo in by some Paju Shoya, some Sigora. Paju Yashe no Masha some Jene. Banjum some get so combe Combarchena, you and then get to get a Sigua. The guy range channel, you and then get the Matandua. Samika, you are chill, had a me Chambacomgina, Sabacom the Paju de la Tewatan Chena, some Chambacombina, and Samika, you are Chera. The Dajan soon had a me to do so Robert and soon give cigarettes. Ye Tewa Yungurese. Yidiwada, Tewa Mambutu Grace, Kibu Yunguris or Celia. To Dugdan Songi Misudan, Shandak Dudan Sola Soba to Zuran Kenchik Mares. Baba Meba to Rangatunda Retubiana, Sosu Chambakona, Meganga Kabana, Tundakanga Truptugura. Baba Meba to that. Sangbenji, then Kawashimade, Sangbel Halas over to the Kendu Gresera. Get the door, my Jujan, Chamju, and then get to Sendelia, Tarba that in the Madoviana, Chamba Combalatan, and Chu Gabon to Kanga Tugrese, Shesum Bataros.
So this next section is the final of these. Preventing anger by considering the benefits of patience is appropriateness of rejoicing, since patience towards a cause of hostility is the source of all accomplishments. So the assertion here is it's reasonable to get angry or become hostile, because since if one is patient, others may think one is incapable of retaliating and despise one or look down upon one. So it's better to be, get angry. It is not reasonable. The answer is, whoever is patient with the source of anger develops meditation. Saying you fear the source of good quality is just foolish of you. So here, in the commentary, it's saying, whoever patiently tolerates a cause for anger will develop meditative stabilization. And this is meditative stabilization on when you have patience, then based upon that you can then cultivate other qualities like love, where you want to have others, you want to provide others with happiness, and here it says, and other kinds of meditation means then you have once you're patient and you're able to cultivate compassion, where you want to free others from their suffering. Even cultivating love for as short a time as it takes to milk a cow brings 8 benefits. So the Precious Garland states the 8 benefits of cultivating love. One is gods and humans will be friendly, and even non-humans will protect you. You will have pleasures of the mind and many of the body, and poison and weapons will not harm you, and effortlessly you will attain your aims, and you will be reborn in the world of Brahma or other heavenly realms. And so though through this you are not so even though you are not liberated, you will attain the 8 virtues of love. Even though you might not be liberated in that life, then you will attain the 8 virtues of love.
Kyoji lumba bashi yinse. Tan soba kongwe de ko yondenji nere, tili ya kyo jigba, megana, tini lumba bashi yinse. Mi lumbu yinbe ta resi kdwa. Tini dreba dili chige sumbe yondenji ne soba la se. Yonden ne lan jikshe ba se dirwa. Ne soba la, nule chi nu sam, she nyebe jigba, o mi nyeju chigri sam kyo she ne, susu yondenji ne tili ya ne, yondenji meba suni pa, nēlēn chēnē sī yuwa nō. Yōndēn nēlēn jīg shē bā kio ki lūmbā bā shī yīn sē dē. Jīg shē sō bā pōngā nē, dē shēn jī nyē chū chēnē ngō tsā kare shī kī dō sē nē, pān lēn chī kī sē nē. Sō bā pōngā nē kio lūmbā bā shī yīn dē sē, yōndēn jī nē pio dō chōngā jōmbē chī rō sā. Sō bā kōngbē nē dē dē chī mā tsāng mā lā yōndēn dē kē mē māngbō yō bā tē, sō sō mē bā sō yuwa tē, kukba ki lumbu ki beta resi kidwa. Pena kibun gashi nyechwe len dogba la ngo sawar senpa shinos. Kibun gashi kyon dozo pa meba soso, kyon di meba so na ngo sa cheba na shi resi ko. Peti imbere. Tandi kido.
So that first part then is commentary on whoever is patient with the source of anger develops meditation, which is the first two lines of the verse. And the second two lines of the verse say, saying you fear the source of good qualities is just foolish of you. So here, it is just foolish of you to claim you fear patience and give up the source of these above mentioned virtues associated with love and so forth. Then because of contempt regarding your ability to retaliate, you're worried about people despising you because you can't retaliate for any harm. So then it's completely foolish, because it would be stupid to do that, because you destroy an excellent source of good qualities. It would be like someone who's embarrassed about abstaining from misdeeds.
Member Tagi, me go to social member Tagi. Chedo Sebe, Tom Dengi, Semberkavas, oh, me, you don't let go to socially and Neptu Chanani, Top Tan Dembatili, never Chanasgora. Member Tagi, Chedo Seba, Tom Dengi, Semberkava, me Top Tan Dembapa, call Lank up to the course of the Tretugre, Lamba Jebdiana, so Tugumare. The Patsarche Guresena, or the Sarche Rigmares Gordo. Member Dagi, Kedu Seba, Tom Dengi Semberkave, Sarcheba Riso Oceana, Sushi Kese, Tarjene, Jigdan Parun Draw Use, Jigdalia, Sosoya, Kedu Senge, so never chinge Kanga Mavasone, and then Jigdan Parulia, Takanga Mavasone, Drongage Sundu Sigora. Pass Lechen and Tamaru Marmal Durmado, in your drake Yomardo. Oh, Sushi Kese Tarjene, Jigdan Parun Draw. This is done at Tigbawe, never less when Yam to Sangayana, and then Sushi Lovely Sun, Chunjuchi Sosonia, Seba Comshagina. This is done at Tigba Manguch Saya Kankan Don to Gure. Then never send a coach and a cook career and the came to Ninja Samba, Niji Kumishana, Yagres, never less when Yam to Semse. Niji Chanati Service and tea, I would do some Giosera. Kibu Sushi, Tratam Jet Jumshin, Kesene, Samba Mavsonera, Kesuchin Kanga Mavsone. Tarjunse, Meber Chene, Jigden Paru don't drum, Soma. Jungse Meba teacher, the day young to be your mother, Suchung your Marisora. Teacher, no lechebe, Tigbasane, Yandron Drowa, Drove Essere. No lechik than a part never jet to never jet, tap her for drawing your Sardo, and then so Tigbasane, Kawashimang, Solon Drea, Sendilla Migia, Shang, Solon Taya, Kanga Yungurisgora, San and Yandron Drove, Tani, Tandu, Tigbasak Bales, Tadipa Tuni said to Chene, Tigbasak Devale. Sunya Jushaba de Lexo Yam de Sabachan Yagre Sambudo Sungara. Leso Yam do Sembe, never Sweber Chate, Yagre, Samne, Sweba Comne, never de Swebachaku Resera. Taking and Kares, taking and Ronan Drugumare, Tigbe Esse, Yandron Drovesero, Sweba Comgene, Kawamabushevis Togure, and taking Yandron Drugumare, Yandron Dugure, Tigbasagan, Yandron Dugures, Tesson, Swebachan Kagres. Pena Sujunji Trigor La Tameba Shindo, Kesola Tamil. Sujunji Trigor Chulinachi, the Manguchi Tasha Shingudua. Enko Yalin de Pan, Zekorko, the Tambuka, and Nibakari Kogo Seke Yomaro. Tinashi, Pan never say Yatsu, never say Tijani, called Tameba Chagres.
So here,
Baba.
Appropriateness of cultivating patience when disparaged by others. Since it is difficult for the powerful to, the assertion is here, since it is difficult for the powerful to bear being disparaged by inferiors, it is proper to punish them. punish where it's particularly difficult for somebody who's is more powerful and superior, and to then bear the harm from others. So it's proper just to punish these inferiors. So the verse states, "Who is going to the next world, having ended all disparagement?" Instead of ending all disparagement, if you return harm for harm, it's just an endless cycle where, and it only increases. You get more and more harm in return. Therefore, consider contempt preferable to ill deeds. So the commentary explains contempt means that that if people are disparage you for not retaliating, then that would be preferable to retaliating and then creating ill deeds and the results of those. So the commentary says, who goes or has gone to the next world, having completely put an end to his enemies by defeat and humiliation. There's no way to do that. There's not even a few have done so. So it's because when you retaliate and you get into a constant cycle of retaliation and so there's like no end to it, and it only increases the problem. So by retaliating, one creates ill deeds in this lifetime, and will go to unfortunate rebirths. Therefore, one should endure contempt if others are contemptuous because you're not retaliating, thinking it is preferable to the ill deeds creating by subjugating one's enemies and doing harm to others. Through doing the former, one will not have unfortunate rebirths. Through enduring contempt, that means you won't have unfortunate rebirths, and by doing ill deeds, one will have unfortunate rebirths. Just as there is no end to a water wheel is like with got buckets on it, and so it's in a you can't even tell which bucket is the first bucket and then the second bucket. It's just a constant process of it's a sort of like a, what do you say, it's constantly in motion, and then there is none to disparagement either. There's no end to disparagement. There's no way that you can overcome, because it just increases and people will retaliate, and then you have to retaliate. It's just an endless process. Don't be so.
Trung Jimbe Nyambo Kumzu Seteredo. Tanda Sabin Yamoto Zungunjura, Kondre Nimbulia, Tenechi, Saba Comiata, Tendechen Mabso de Shera. That's Sabin Sawan and Mabso de Shegdo. Sabin Trung Jimbe Nyambo Kumzune, Number Sheba ne Kenla Rale de KVS, Simse de Kenla Ralan Kigura, Kondre Seminandra, the Shinandra, Naganandra. Number Sheba Karine, Chambasoina, Judan Ken, Sone, and Kayungurno. Number Sheba ne Kela Rale de Kevena, Duje in Las, Kuting Dusheba Resigora. And Duje ne Kaji Rela Shandu Guru and Duje Sonza, Kotambu Kondu Savachune, Sabacom Dendechaniaco, Kondu Mageda, Shenja Chundru Doyada, Kanga, Chamba de Sawapea, Kanga Yungu, or some Jundu Yora. Oh, Rela Shandu Gurasi. Rangshinji never melase. Rangshinji Trube, Semgingo, Kondu Sabachina, Rangshinji Kondu Sabatella Nea, Naja Sabachina, Rangshinji, Naja Sabatella Nea, your Mareswara, could Jujin Junduko, Juata Yoreswara. Sem de Rangshinji never melas. They may be some never the Rangshinji manner, some Kewa de Rangshinji Kewa Yomara, Jujin Sobalatene, Jujin Juandu, the Kunyam Don Juandu de Resgara. Jigba Yantinashe, some de Jigdrea, and the Rangshinji Truba Mebe, Jujinji Wangikane, jigdugre sigwara nyomo saya da kontro saya da tezo kyudenke nyembu tenjene ko sendu yara o kinji ne sumra shinge mebe kamsumbu tamje kyumada ndawa kondo chuba chene ngobo kande chine kewa da neba da jigba kangate rangshin gi trubaji yo mare sigwara o timede ko pene rangshin gi rangone yebe sonde tongu yara ngone chega chine kadiresne yo mardo ko gyumana shin reswara gyumeta da langbu de chi thong de gora ngone ta da langbu chawa chingge de kawaresne ko che nye yo mardo o din de chotam je gyumada bu mulam da bu tse tongji da bu rese atinde shepe na ne nyomo tu ke tu yo mare sung yora o jinje ne sum rang shin ge mebe kam sum bu tam je gyumada da war kondo chubar chene nyomo tam je pang bar cha des nyomo tam je pang be tabla chang go res do ale diba du chi lam na to sun do
So this last part, we've been talking up to this point about the way to eliminate manifest afflictions. Now is how to cultivate the antidote which totally destroys the seeds of the afflictions. So here, since consciousness is produced in dependence on causes, and it mentions consciousness here, that means love and any of the afflictions and patience and all of these are dependent on causes. Then but it's singling out consciousness. Then so since consciousness is produced in dependence on causes, it is a caused phenomena. Or a composite phenomena, or there's a different, here translated chose the word product, and I prefer in this context just that it's a caused phenomena. Once we understand that it's produced in dependence on causes, it's a caused phenomena. And since caused phenomena change from moment to moment, they do not have inherent duration. Once something doesn't have inherent duration, then their production and disintegration are therefore not inherently existent either. So then one must abandon all the disturbing emotions, all the afflictions, understanding that since production, disintegration, and abiding or duration all do not have inherent existence, then the three realms of existence then are like an illusion, just like in a magician's illusion. There's the magician creates a horse or an elephant, and you go to it and you can't find anything there. Then everything, that all the composed phenomena of all the, here I'm using that composed phenomena, caused phenomena of the world, they all lack inherent existence. That they're in their production, their disintegration, and their duration.
Tati tsawati lakida. Kange namshi nela so sigdwa. Ene yangda tu na namshi ba se. Kange number sheba tata neba la soba. Ene jigba ta yesu sigiwara kyawa taza. Yangda tu na namshi ba se. Yangda ba tu na ene ten tambaliya tene tuba meba te shena se sigwara. Te nane nyamu namya lodo la menese semge. Ane yu tene karse kyawa da neba da jigba la soba rangu ne meba te samlutan ne she ne te samlutan be na ane kondo da nga ge da trado la soba nyomo to namya suzu lo le akigi mare se gora oh
well
ane
so the verse reads, disturbing emotions, and means here we've been talking about hostility and anger. It means also pride, jealousy, all the afflictions will never remain in the mind of one who understands the reality of the abiding and so forth of consciousness, the abiding production and disintegration of and so forth of consciousness. So here, reality. Actually, I was just saying that the Tibetan word here means reality.
Nenjorba kange sigora kange namshe nela so sigdo. Nenjorba kange number shebe kyawa dan gagba dan neba la so ba sura kange namshe nela so sigdo. Neba la so ba. Ane yangda duna namshe ba side. Ane yangda duna rangshin ji juba tu samya meba number sheba sigdo. Yangda duna namshe ba. Ane Teyo nane sedra, teyo nane nyomo namya lola mine sose. O rangune truba tusa meba de namshiki pa samlo tang yena. Ane teyo nane, te kombar chebe nyomo namya yije lodula mine. Kondu da nga je chadola soba lodulia. Kik mare, neg mare, ketuk mare sigora. Mine sose.
Lodra?
Oh, lodra diwa de doa de Pena dugi shingi tsawan dunba shinose. Dug yube shingi yube ko tsawan ne cheshana. Ane di dug di yoni mili kyunche kanka yungu marwa. Zako rangune truban zimba digi rangune meba di tona tsawa cheba na shire nyomoto stig mare sungora.
So the commentary on this verse says, disturbing emotions will never remain in the mind. That's what the verse is saying of any adept. Then the commentary says, who understands that the production, disintegration, abiding, and so forth of consciousness do not have even an atom of real or inherent existence here, and who gains familiarity with this, that all of these production, disintegration, and abiding do not exist from their own side, at all, do not exist at all from their own side. So then it's said to be just like uprooting a poisonous tree. When you can take something from the root, like at the root of all of the afflictions is this seeing, is this perception of things as existing from their own side, then that's like uprooting a poisonous tree. You get rid of all of the problems associated with the afflictions and so, just like a poisonous tree.
Oh, tena tomar nyomo ngunjur silje ne be nyembo kombar chene sigdo. Tambo nyomo ngundu gyede tanda nega mega soya ge ko kombar che ure sigora. Te kares ne bena yido wan de china chabe yu china ko mitukpa kongkuyara. Yilmi wa pena mi luri china re ne shada chada kingru da chi rugo da kanga chazan kongkuyara. Sashi kingru ti kama mi kingru komyanda tinde yungda chakbe yu ina. Chayu kansa degi rugo to chazan samlutan pakba samlutan loa chimba loga samlutan je mizawe che kanga dupe tang nire samtinde samlutan gyora. Chakba jewe yu kanga ko kyonde samlutan gyora. Kyonde samlutan na hene yamene yu te ta machebe che ko. Yudi nega biushane lela bachijong estuwa. Di mene ko kyonshi ji samlutane lubruwate mebchag yora. Oh, tene ko kondo kesa shi ne ko chamba da tsawa da soba komya da ko lenyo ji shawa jere kondo shawa do jure ko ngane shi kayo mare leda nyomo be shawa do june kondo shebarang shi do mene de chade yore sam soba komge yora. Oh, tinde chene ko nega kar ne ti nyembo tene ngundu gyurma chukshaya dewa. Dako tardu kar tar tenchung rangshime ba tokbe nyomo sabe malu ba pangbar chawaside. Pa tsawa den pangguye na yidongwa yidongmewa kare na ngaranzu tatu sa kona yu ngone chaksaki yuji di kawe yuji imbari su tengeri shigara. Dila sose pa samlu tangane su yara. 소소 삼루마다는 연구 말와 콘드랍진에 소소 삼루마다 그 지체네 육셔 삼루션다 다한테 기그 말와 나라서 콘서 코 된들라서 삼루다다다 아니야 콘드게지오라 차베 유래진에 코 된들야고도 된데도서 파 삼루다한테네 야기행고라 삼루마다는 거 기그 말와데 어디인데 거 가서래 자원에 매게 된다리야 땡진데 버리죠 다운세네 착배 유대 가르전 착도 착고야 가른도 섬제 유리를 다운세 랑신기 매봐 랑은에 매봐 다치 매게질 추루루에서 소소 찍레샤 삼파 우주 겹제 수요라 비경원에 지는 이 대비지 요 말을 차셔야 되마도 제레디어와 이동아이나 자이나 가리나 자고 다 소소 우주체는 지지레샤 삼 대게세네 소소 파삼로 따네네 소대기어와 인도 때네 딱이 요래 삼파게 뭐네 임베지도 요 말이나 뭐인게를 가시 루루슨 소소 우주제 지지레샤 삼 딱이 요래 삼제 유징원에 요 말에 삼텐데 삼로다네 그 차사다 콘도사사 유디 니게스 요 말와 디면은 녀모 kalli ko nyomo tsawane mer chandu yora dice
so the advice at the end here is thus by first gaining familiarity with the antidotes that overcome manifest afflictions and eventually understanding dependent arising is devoid of inherent existence, one should rid oneself of all the seeds of disturbing emotions here. In the beginning then, so that you're getting familiar with like what is it that when we see things as something attractive and say a person, then how do we deal with our attachment towards that person? Then you have to then well, there's two approaches. One is you could just separate yourself from the object, the person that's causing these feelings to arise. Another one would be to then to see you're seeing the object as attractive, so then to cultivate a kind of, well, she uses the word here, repulsiveness, a repulsion for that object by it's sort of thinking about all the unattractive components of the body of that person, and you know all the like liver and lungs and the inner organs, and then the you know the bowels filled with excrement and so forth. If you think in this way, then you get rid of that kind of feeling of that this is attractive, and so then that'll reduce your attachment. And another way is well, when you have anger, for instance, then if you can then generate compassion towards the person who is angry, saying, "Oh, they're under the influence of their hostility and belligerence, and so how can I return anger for that?" Then you reduce your anger towards that person. But then if you really want to understand that person as if you really want to undercut what all the afflictions that you might have with regard to things and persons, then you have to understand that these appearances of like with anger, you're seeing the thing as being unattractive or unappealing, and if with attachment, you're seeing things as being or persons as being appealing or attractive. So you have to understand those qualities of attractiveness and unattractiveness are merely something that you're seeing them coming from the object. They're coming from the side of the object, and so they're having this existence from their own side. So then when you analyze and see that and look for those qualities to somehow, if they exist within, somehow exist within the object of the person, and analyze, is there something that's actually there? Then you can only you can't come up with finding anything. So you understand that it's a dependent arising, where you're just like projecting, and they just have this. Where you understand it's just you're projecting this onto the it's a projection from your side. So then, when you understand that they have an existence that's a dependent existence, and there's no and they're completely objects and things are completely devoid of any kind of existence from their own side, or we can say that their existence is somehow complete in and of themselves. Then if you understand they completely are devoid of that kind of existence, then this gets rid of this completely reduces any of the this will reduce any of the afflictions that arise in your mind. These Sabban dan jeba de meba sugires sigideve indicate dende
Kage Sabban Kage
Nyamongi Sabban.
Sabban de Jeba.
No. So it would through this, then you would get rid of all this the seeds of the afflictions.
Dan derme basido. The draw chanju trube chebe kesun draw chamatam jege lana mebe chanju truber chebe and it is chanju sembe chebala so what dalun jube kesigdo. Karesne Chakso dan kondunga jilso nyumo dus reesera. Chakso nyumo de shawan de gyurde yore sangaras kangarwa. Shawan de gyurwa nams. Ta de shawan de gyurwa tele kande jenje tarba chegoresne. Ene kondo yutezula chamba da zawa da tende komgores negabro. Ene chakbe yutezula miduba komgores. Jamda midu kombe nenjordans. Ne zawa ne meba soya tenda karit komgoresne. Nengobu namje te konani. Nelu tardu tongbani rangu ne tongbani de ko nelu tardu derwa nelu tardu te ni ten bala tene ane pajo de nyamo zone tunge gi jo nyamo se de se de ne tunge sebe tarbalya goto gure se ne rani ne de tondalya chongure shen tingo be tablia gogure sungudwa to e su chaba tonda de ne dire sta de shegara ani ba lewi sa tambane Nanju cheba shijabe number sheba lebar sheba nyubu sheba nyumo pangbe tab dembe rabdu sheba chukpati yins. Ore tibe shilabda nindikdo.
So this kind of a summarizing stanza that the commentator has here at the end, which goes, transmigrators governed by disturbing emotions like desire, which prevent activities for the attainment of enlightenment, are conveyed to the happiness of liberation by teaching them to become familiar with love and repulsiveness, and by teaching them suchness. So here, transmigrators or beings, living beings, are under the power of their afflictions, like attachment and so forth, anger and so forth, and these act as an obstacle to them practicing the deeds that allow them to attain enlightenment. So then these persons, and you and these persons then are conveyed to the happiness of liberation by teaching them, one, to become familiar with love, which would be the opposite of hatred, and the countermeasure for hatred, and repulsiveness, which would be the countermeasure for craving or attachment. And then by teaching them suchness would be this the reality of emptiness, which would act as the antidote to the very basis of all the afflictions, which is seeing persons as things and things as existing in their own right or from their own side. So then this ends the chapter 6, which is showing the means to eliminate the afflictions. So time, yeah. Dutsa danda because Drilin because topa shuya yo topa she then dutsa also did that.
Oh yeah.
So that with the end of the 6th chapter, then we're ending just in time to answer a few questions that we have here. So if you keep an eye on the time, then if the time is up and we haven't finished all the answers for the questions, then we can continue with the questions later. So please just let me know. Is it also the view in Tantra that Buddha amassed merit for countless aeons? The Parchin Tekpala did Jangchu Samba Gawa Pameba Sumla Tsok Sagne Dene Sangye Ki Gongpan Top Song Dendre Sigio de Young Sangaki Tekbala Dendre Sigi Duge because do Ringbo Dende Jago de Bay.
Parchin Tekbala Kevatame Sumbi Sosa at Shiora. Reading Liako Dendre Ko Maresiora. Oh, Chechik Luchilako Sanke, yes, and Biora. Let it in your lam sierra. 10 years from that Chechik that in repair. One would number how young it in it. Soon up Chamba and Yingji to change you some session within the Yona. Only gave a man with the real comne, Sang Jen and Simjang Tanjeva, Latin Tartu Chetobalas, Tende Gornanga Setoba Mendoza Sandije. Yingji Chambude Teba. Parjin tebe kapji chanju sembale chanju tongju ki she chawa yo chara ninji shuk chawa this one
no ninji shuk chawa
oh shuk chawa
ke
tongda mangbu shuk chawa ba keba drangme sumgi bado ane shende tru che te bado ane semje tar chimba tube sanje matomna ko so matum gate shiwara de so matum gate ane shirwa nyorwa oh, tende nga soto mendo samsa dogba chi tobu samsa tende ningdu da tongba ni da kangal ningdu da kanga shukche yora tele ako mixe gi ako tongba ni da tende toya gi tab danga kapsu meda shegra tabshi meda sheche ani te jogba ke ba chami som gor ki marta tunda jogba sanje tabshi she yora oh
so it's true that it said that you need the Bodhisattva has to cultivate or to amass the collections for countless aeons. In the what we call it, the perfection vehicle, but in the secret mantra vehicle, it's not expressed like that. The secret mantra vehicle says that in one lifetime and one body you can attain complete Buddhahood. So but the secret mantra is for the so-called persons of sharp faculties, as we often translate it, but they're sort of like I don't know, what is it, prodigies or something like that. And I mean, they're like totally unusual amounts of, what do you say? They have a special kind of wisdom, not a special, but they've developed a very strong wisdom that knows reality, and an unusual, so we say a very strong, I'll just use the word very strong, an exceedingly strong sense of great compassion, so that then out of that feeling, it's very hard for them to bear the thought of waiting, of taking such a long time to be able to help all sentient beings. So it becomes kind of an unbearable thought for them, because they have such strong compassion, and so then they enter into the practices of Tantra, which has very special methods for developing wisdom in particular, and so then they're able to then become Buddhas in a short period of time.
Kazan Gorna Gors, the Dickinson Giomara. Kazan Gorna Shandu Truvere, Corner, some Tension, oh, Cousin Gorna go, some Sadaji, college giving some Shandu Truvi Yamato Yomara. Kiss some Girmado. Not tell a mess to do some Yomara.
But don't make the mistake of thinking that the Bodhisattvas on the sutra, on the perfection vehicle is sort of like, who cares if it takes a long time, So they're not in any hurry, so it takes 3 immeasurable ants, That's not at all the case. That they're not thinking about how long it's going to take. They're like totally focused on others' welfare, and so they're just that's all they're preoccupied with. They're only thinking of the welfare of others. They're not thinking, well, how long is this going to take?
No, Simja Tamja said, Simja Tamja group said, Simja yourself do chick to turn to Yeshe Yomara. Because Simja Yimba Zamji, Nazu Casa than Yeshe Yomar. Simja Yimba Zamji could turn to Yeshe, Ben to get the Mother Yomara. Then I couldn't do a Cheritane, teacher Rediora.
So they're only thinking of the welfare of others and how they can be more accomplished at achieving the welfare of others, and then when they're not thinking of the welfare of people in a certain area or something like that. They just, as long as it's a certain kind of person or a certain type of person or whatever, they just once it's a sentient being, the only qualification they're looking for is that it's a sentient being, and then they're just working for the welfare of whatever sentient being.
Yeah, Nicola.
Did Namso Namsum Gigorla did Namso Namsum the Tala did because Yandape Dawa Gigorla did Namshik Renchok Maber Chikcha do then they did Dawa Jeba Zogba La Sigyorwa then they I'll read this after I explain it to Geshe, but sorry. Then they dawa zogdu, then they because similar kari shargio they countries nangwa de kandre de kod driva then they consola drigoya labgoya. So Geshe, thank you. In the three principal aspects of the path, J. Rinpoche states that the profound view, quote unquote, is complete when one realizes that appearances are dependent arisings and that emptiness is free of all assertions. He says that these need to become simultaneous and concurrent to get the profound view. So the question is, when this view is accomplished, what does the mind perceive? Appearances? Nothing? Kari samla nangire.
Kari nangire sere, kari sere.
Nangwa kande de, nangwa da, dongwa danda, nangwa kare de, nangwa kande. Sure, tamsi kandres nangi ore, dende.
Ore dan namshi rinjo meba chijar du sherwa. Tende milu tonga tsamine ngeshe yugin tsinda kuyin jingna teze tawe chaba tsobla sungudwa. Namshi rinjo meba chijar du tende milu tonga sina. Tambu nganzo tenjin debara jonga samlo ta. Tene ya ko rangune meba samlo ta. Ya rangune meba samlo shuk chungru done ya tenjin debara jonga yimba samlo ta. Tende kali tende chigyawara. Renjo stitirwa tambu te samdaya tene te samda tene stitirwa. Namshi na se tu namshi na sigora. Renjo megoya chen sigora. De samda ma de tene ya de samda ya de samde de mogocha. Namshi renjo mebar. Chigjar do tende melo so atam ni nesigdo. Tenjin debar jo adele ya chawa chetuba. Tenjin debar jo yina ya. Ko meyna me segbada chu lembada lungi yo ala soba mi na ko tenji debar jo ina ro da deba da dewa nyo tunga nyo kanga chawa cheba de tungdu su yora namshi re jo mo che tende mi ra yeshe yu yin tsinda ku yin china se rangone truban zimbe yeshe ge rangone truban zimbe yeshe de ge zinda rangone truba de jig do na se gora tezi tawe cheba soba la se gora tene tawe cheba de soba re se gora tenda kares ne tenji debar jo samlo tande ene namsa di tobje tongba le samlo kodu yara tene tongba samlo kodu za rawna truba tongba samlo kodu ya so samlo tan tenji debar jo imba samlo kodu yara to da chikchar to sen nam peji tenji debar jo so da sam o rawna tongba re san namsa te matadu di kodu yara o tende yimbe ya so rangone tongba sonza tension debar joarese kezu chik toari dugara ene tong te kasura tongba nyele cheba sayage cheba chokba rese ta kom den digora te rangone tube tongba de yang kom che de jura cheba che de cheba chokba rese ngora
oh no do so usually when
now is ko tende na ro tenjin debar jo samlo dang gyora ene tongba na de ko tongba na ro ra sa tende ge samlo dang namsa tongba samlo kortum ge tende re gi yosera mas now mendo tende kes ke mara
so what's being said here when you understand simultaneous and concurrent, I think that's the key here is because it would probably be helpful if I had the verse. Does anybody have it in front? So then, if we think of the verse, then when these two realizations are simultaneous and concurrent, from the mere sight of infallible dependent arising comes definite knowledge, which completely destroys all modes of mental grasping. At that time, the analysis of the profound view is complete. So these two realizations are usually what's being done is that when you contemplate emptiness, you're analyzing and looking, doing analysis and looking for thing and what do you say? You're analyzing persons and things and coming up with an understanding that they lack any kind of existence from their own side, and when that analysis starts to get weak, then you switch over and you're analyzing that because of them being dependent arisings, then they lack any kind of inherent existence. So and when that becomes weak, then you go back and then you start analyzing and to look for if there's something there or not, and you come up with that you can't find anything. So you're going back and forth like that. But and coming up with, you can't find anything, you're coming up with their emptiness of existing and emptiness of existing from their own side. So then when they're simultaneously and concurrent means that you've become so familiar with this process that the back and forth doesn't have to be done anymore, because when you consider dependent arising, then you understand. Well, it's the meaning of dependent. How can you say? When you understand things as dependent arising, you see their emptiness. When you see the emptiness, you see you see their dependent arising. So the two of those, there's no need to one doesn't weaken and you have to do the other one. It's just they're both strong enough so that when you see the one, you see the other. And when you see emptiness, you see dependent arising. When you see dependent arising, you see emptiness. And so then that is. That is an indication that your cultivation of the view has become strong. Okay, it's become strong enough so that it completely completely destroys all this mode of what do you say, this way of seeing things as somehow existing from their own side. And so then that means that the analysis of the profound view is complete. It doesn't mean that somehow that you're suddenly, appearances are suddenly going to somehow disappear or transform or be very radically different, something like that.